folks, in the last video I did on this Hedgiez, I did a complete revamp of it. So new fur, spray painted it all in this nice brown colour and made a silicone new face for it. But unfortunately, the way I put the fur on, it made it too tight and it couldn't roll anymore. So we fixed that, haven't we, Paul?
Yes.
So Paul took off quite a bit of fur on the inside with a hobby drill.
Hello!
And it can now roll forward. As you can see, you can move freely again. So previous to this, we put a soundboard in, didn't we, Paul?
Yes, that's right.
And the soundboard is connected on the circuit board to what was a push button nose. So now sound is the equivalent of pressing the nose. However, we found it's not very sensitive.
That's right. I think that's mainly because the microphone's enclosed within the body and there's no air hole through, so to speak, to let the sound through.
So as you saw earlier in this video, it was on standby and noise does wake it up, but it has to be really loud at the moment. Like it was only when I coughed really loudly that it woke up. You can't wake it up by voice.
No, but we could turn the microphone sensitivity up on the audio board.
So that's what we've decided to do today. So he's just powered down now and we're going to try and wake him up by just talking, not shouting, but talking quite loudly.
Okay.
Hello, little Hedgie.
And you're going to increase the volume, are you?
Hello. Hello. Hello, Hedgie. Hello. You wanted to try as well, Paul?
Okay, so I'm about 6 inches away here. Hello, Hedgie. Hello.
Yeah, so you had to shout basically, didn't you? And shout really close.
Yeah.
So we'll alter the sensitivity and then see what it's like.
Okay.
Just making a note for ourselves. It's the PZ0 screwdriver that fits the screws.
Posi Drive 0.
Okay, so you are unscrewing the 4 screws on the bottom of the belly now. And what screwdriver are you using now, Paul?
PZ1, we've gone up one size. At the moment, that screw head is on the corner, isn't it?
Yes.
So I don't know if it's clockwise, which would be that way, or anti-clockwise at the moment. But what I think we should do is power it up now and then twiddle it one way.
Okay.
Until the light comes on, because that will then be the right way for the increasing the sensitivity.
Yes.
But we'll have to keep account of how many turns. So I'm going to turn it on in a minute, and I'm going to twiddle that screw clockwise, but I'm going to keep account of the turns as well. And I want to know if that increases the sensitivity or decreases it.
Try just talking.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, 3, 3. So, okay. So I'm going to go 1 turn
clockwise.
That's 1 full turn clockwise, yeah? Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Right, that's made it less sensitive.
So it's anti-clockwise.
So I'm going to go back 1 full turn. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Right, and then you're going to go back and
so
you're going to turn it another.
We're pretty much in the same position now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go anti-clockwise now.
Yes.
By 1 full turn, yeah?
Yeah.
So if I go backwards by 1 full turn, it's on all the time.
Okay.
So it's just off now.
Right. Hello. Hello, Hedgie. Hello, Hedgie. Hello, Hedgie. Yeah, leave it like that, Paul.
Okay.
'Cause
So
you can
what?
always make it less sensitive.
So for our own reference, yeah, this has been turned anti-clockwise by about 160 degrees, less than half a turn.
Just less than half, yeah. Okay.
And that's increased the sensitivity to what we think is better.
Right. So while the fur covering is off, I thought I'd show you what Paul did. He took off quite a bit with the hobby drill round the front here. And that allowed it to move again. So what's happened now is that it won't power down, it won't go into standby because it's triggering itself all the time.
Yes, the noises it makes with its speaker and with its motor is actually triggering the microphone on the soundboard.
So really the only thing we can try is to change the position of the microphone and have it completely open.
Yes, I think so. I think that makes sense. If we turn the sensitivity of the soundboard back to what it was, because we know at that adjustment it doesn't pick up the internal sounds, and then try and reposition the microphone so it's closer to the external world to help it pick up our voices more easily. I think that would be the only solution.
So I thought I'd switch the Hedgie on now so that you can see what it's like now, because it's acting like the nose is continually triggered. And I thought it'd be interesting to switch a couple of Hedgies on next to it so you can see how it compares, how it's acting differently. So what's happening is the other two Hedgies are rolling, but the Hedgie with the microphone on is both reacting as if it's had a short press, where it just makes a little noise, or a long press, where it sings. So that it's just sang a song there, as if it's had a long press. And the other two hedgehogs have gone to sleep now, they've powered down. But this Hedgie, the way it's got the microphone adjusted, won't power down at all. So I'm just going to see if I can get it to do a forward roll by touching its head. See if that'll kind of override the noise. So this Hedgie, you know, it's responding to sound all the time, Paul.
Yeah.
Because you altered the sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's singing now, thinks it's had a long press.
Right. So the sound it's generating is actually triggering its sound sensor.
Yes.
So it's sort of like in a continuous loop, isn't it?
Yeah, at the moment it is. But you can override it. If you touch the head, it still causes it to roll.
Oh, yeah.
Now it can do that.
Uh-huh.
But if I try to get it to do a full roll, it just ends up on its back. So that's obviously to do with having changed the fur on it.
Yeah, well, these hedges only just rolled over anyway, even if they were on a flat surface, so it's no surprise that putting slightly better quality fur on and slightly thicker has made it not do a full bully head.
So what is it that's impeding it? That what's the sort of engineering principles going on here that is stopping that from doing a roll like the other Hedgies?
Hey, so let's see, when it rolls over onto its back,
Mm-hmm.
if it hasn't rolled over with enough speed, it sort of stays like that, doesn't it? It'll go so far forward then come back down. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they're obviously stable when they're on the back. That's a stable position.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's just not rolling over with enough speed.
So is it extra weight from the fir that's causing it not
I
to
see
move
what
as quickly?
I see what you sort of idea you're after. No, it's because the fur's denser and slightly longer. It's having like a braking effect as it rolls. It's like, I suppose you could. It's a bit like friction, really.
Ah, right.
And that braking effect is just enough to stop it doing a full roll. That's why sometimes with the original Hedgiez, if they were on thick carpet, they wouldn't do a full roll, because though again the carpet's sort of having like a braking effect. It's soaking up some of the energy of the roll.
So as you say, it's on a sort of cycle now where it's...
Yeah, it's triggering itself, because the sound it's making is triggering its own sound sensor that we put in.
And this is how the Hedgiez compare when they're on their backs. So the unmodified Hedgiez complain a bit when they're on the back, and they eventually go to sleep. But the modified Hedgehog is giggling because it thinks that the button has been pressed when it's on its back and therefore in cuddle mode. When I had this Hedgehog on earlier, I did find that if it was in a quiet room, it would eventually try to do a forward roll, and when it ended up on its back, it eventually went to sleep. And if I turned it the right way round, very, very slowly, so I didn't disturb it, I could actually get it to work the way I had first envisaged. And I recorded this, so I'll just show you that now. So it's powered down now. Little Hedgehog, sing a song. Sing another song. Good, Hedgehog. So yeah, in that video clip, I managed to get it to do what I wanted it to do initially, to act as I wanted it to act initially, which is basically when you speak to it, it acts as if the button's been pressed.
Yeah.
But I did find today that sensitivity seems to have gone even more sensitive, and it never ever powers down now from what I've seen today.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if perhaps that little screw on the soundboard has moved slightly, because
the potentiometer, the preset potentiometer.
Yeah, because it was very close anyway. You know how much you turned it; it wasn't
it
dramatic.
only needed a fraction of a degree, really.
To change the sensitivity. So I thought that had maybe happened, Paul.
Could well have done, yeah. Could have well have moved with the temperature changes, yeah.
All right, just with temperature changes.
Yeah.
I thought it was maybe like vibration or something.
That particular type of component, it's quite a tight fit turning the pot, so it would be more down to temperature changes, fluctuations up and down, you know.
So, having carried out this project and reflected on it, it's made me think about this project that we're doing now.
Right, so you anticipate using a soundboard on this as well?
So, this is an Animagic guinea pig, and it has a push button switch on the top. There's the switch. And I was wanting to replace the switch with the same soundboard as we used in the Hedgehog. And I've just been reflecting today the problems that we'd had with the Hedgehog. So the first one won't be a problem in this project, and that was that we weren't able to give the equivalent of a long press.
That's right, yeah, because a long press I think was about 2 seconds, and the soundboard's just
2 or 3.
The soundboard's just sort of detecting the voice, so it's the LED on the soundboard flickers, which indicates a press of just, I don't know, a fraction of a second every time it's triggered. So that wasn't long enough to give this 2-second press, so that was one problem.
So thankfully that won't be a problem in this project. So I was thinking of the second problem was that where we placed the board, the microphone was too close to the workings of the Hedgehog.
Yeah, so we want the microphone to be sensitive enough to pick up the voice without shouting at it, but not so sensitive that its own inner workings operate the soundboard.
But where we had it placed with the Hedgehog, especially because the Hedgehog turns and there's motor right next to it,
It generates a lot of its own noise.
A lot of noise, much louder than us speaking. So that was continually triggering it. And you detached the microphone from the soundboard. So obviously we'll be doing that again with this project. And you put the microphone behind the silicon here.
That's
you
right.
Cut a piece of the plastic out and then put the microphone behind the silicon.
But ideally, the microphone could do with access right through the body, so that it's sort of has access to external air, for want of a better way of putting it. It has a hole all the way through to the outer atmosphere, so that sound can easily pass through to the microphone.
Right. Well, where I'm thinking of us mounting the microphone in this project is on top of the head, just underneath the fur.
Okay, a sensible position, yeah.
Because that way, I thought it's a long way off the motor.
And the back legs, which are doing a lot of moving.
Yeah, and the speaker, which is here.
Right.
But with this project, I'm actually putting a sort of soft covering on the plastic, in between the plastic and the fur.
So it's padded, isn't it? So it's like a softer type of plushy model.
Yes. And so this is the body that I've formed, and I'll be using the same sort of stuff to go over the top of the head. And I thought maybe the microphone could be mounted sort of on the surface of that.
Yeah.
So it'll still have fur above it, but the weave of the fabric on the back of the fur,
It's quite open as far as sound's concerned, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like silicon, because this silicon seems to really cushion any noise coming in.
Well, yeah, it's a bit like when you put a pair of plastic ear defenders on. If you block access to the external air, like when you put your fingers in your ears or ear defenders on, it really does reduce the sound. But if you just cover them up with cloth, obviously that doesn't impede the sound the same.
And on this project, I had mused over the idea of replacing the 2 micro switches in the head with a Hall effect sensor. But on reflection, after doing this video and thinking about the Hedgiez project and how it went, I think it's probably better to just focus on the soundboard, because we
Right,
don't
so-
know if we might encounter
Yeah.
an unforeseen
So
problem.
you are erring on the side of simplicity and wanting to avoid complexity in order
Yeah.
that we don't run into any problems
Yeah.
and we get the project finished.
Yeah, and if there's any problems, we can focus on those rather than complicating it by having another.
That's a sensible idea. I think the Hall effect switch is best left to another project. Why? Just out of interest, why is it you wanted to replace those two micro switches with a Hall effect switch?
The reason why I wanted to do that is because otherwise you've got to have a hole in the face that you can insert things into.
Right, okay, yeah.
And that means that I wouldn't be able to use the sculpted face that I've been working on.
It limits you cosmetically, the cosmetic appearance, I see.
It would mean that I would not be able to do that sculpted face on this particular model.
Using a Hall effect switch would get over that problem.
Yeah.
But you're still leaving it to another project, though.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
As well as learning from the Hedgiez project in terms of how we're going to use the soundboard, so we know automatically that you'll want to remove the microphone before you mount the soundboard
And
this time.
relocate it in the position you talked about
Yeah.
earlier on, yeah.
Because when we did the Hedgiez project, you mounted the soundboard, then we realised that the microphone needed to be separate. But the fact that you'd already mounted the soundboard made it really difficult to solder the wires, didn't it?
Yeah, I think I'll just say something about what we're doing with the soundboards. The soundboard is being added, but it's in no way controlled by the microcontroller. If we were being smart about this, which is really too complex, it's beyond our abilities, isn't it? We would integrate the microphone with the microcontroller so that, for instance, it would only look at the microphone when the microcontroller wasn't operating the motors and it wasn't making a sound. So it wouldn't be bothered by its own sound then, because it would say, just look at the microphone when I'm not making any sound. But we're not doing that. We're just adding the soundboard as a switch replacement. So that's why we've run into the noise problem.
Yeah, I guess in the future, if we were doing like a major project from scratch and we wanted to replicate something like this and we wanted to use our own microcontroller, so that I suppose if you use your own microcontroller, you could turn the motor on and off to move the legs, couldn't you?
That's right, yeah. Of course, it's exactly what this microcontroller does.
So I think it's a bigger sort of project. I'd be interested in that in the future. But I like to do things in steps.
Yeah.
And also, I'm just interested in, can it be done?
Yeah, that's right.
So as well as learning these things about using a soundboard, we also learned something about the craft side of it. This is now okay, but it was sticky when it came out of the mould, and it's because we used a latex mould.
That's right. We were unaware that using latex moulds affected the setting of silicone, but
Stops it curing.
Stops it curing properly, yeah, on the surface. But now we are aware, so we won't run into that problem again.
So something else that's learned. You found a type of substance. I think it's polyurethane based.
Yeah, polyurethane casting resin, yeah, which we've not tried yet, but we think has got potential in this area of model customization.
And we're going to try that with this guinea pig project.
Yeah.
When we look at making the covering for the legs, we'll be using a combination of this polyurethane rubbery stuff and silicone. But I'm not sure which way round, because you told me that polyurethane is very, very tough.
It is, yeah.
So initially I was thinking, swap from making a latex mould to making one out of polyurethane. And then I can put the silicone in it because it'll cure. And then I thought, maybe it might be better to make the mould out of silicone and make the cast out of polyurethane because these feet are obviously going on the floor.
Yeah, and the silicone's really a little bit too soft, isn't it?
Yeah.
To allow proper operation.
Well, I thought maybe the silicone might tear over time.
Yeah, it'll be nowhere near as strong as the polyurethane casting resin. Yeah, polyurethane's really tough stuff. In fact, I remember having a skateboard as a kid that had polyurethane wheels on them, and they took a heck of a battery.
So, yes, a new material to explore in that project. But that about wraps it up for this final Hedgiez project video, and I hope you'll join us for our guinea pig project, where hopefully we'll be able to make more effective use of this soundboard.
Is it the Animagic guinea pig?
Yes, it's the Animagic guinea pig that we're doing this project on. I have done a project with an Animagic guinea pig before, but that was just cosmetic. It was just a cosmetic custom.
So this will be both cosmetic and electronic.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's it for this video, folks. I hope you found that interesting to some degree, and hope to see you next time.